Hi and welcome to this edition of Assembly Calendar. I'm Visscher. Our guest today joining us here in Albany is New York State Assemblyman Dean Murray, who represents the 3rd Assembly District of Suffolk County. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're sitting down with the Assemblyman for the next 15 minutes or so to discuss a variety of statewide issues that are of concern to New Yorkers around the state and to constituents in his district. And we are, as of this taping, at the last week of September, entering October, and the time just seems to fly right by, Assemblyman.
It really does. Where did the summer go?
Where did the summer go? I hope you had a good summer.
I had a good summer. How about yourself?
It was nice. I mean, the weather overall was cooperative for the most part.
It was great, but now it's fall. Kids are back to school, and we're back gearing up again.
That's right. And before you know it, the 2016 legislative session will be
blink of an eye.
Yes. So there have been some developments since we last saw you, and some of those developments have related to education standards in New York State. And when you talk about education, and we have been discussing education for the past couple of years, 2 words come to mind, and those 2 words are Common Core.
Exactly.
And the governor apparently has come out with a plan, and as part of his plan, to create a panel to look into Common Core and its effect on New Yorkers, students around the state.
Right.
Your overall thoughts on that?
Well, he just introduced his panel, and unfortunately, the governor has a track record of panels and committees and commissions and councils, and he did something similar with mandate relief, where he had 3 different. I think it was a team, a council, and a commission, and through all of that, very little mandate relief came out of it. So as you can imagine, many of us, myself included, were a bit skeptical when the governor announced he was going to put together a panel to look into changes to the Common Core.
It's not a commission.
Right. This time it's a panel.
He's big on creating commissions
yes.
as well. So.
He's also big on stopping them. But he's now put together this panel, and unfortunately, I think what has happened is what we feared would happen, and that is this panel consists of many of those who were supporting Common Core or who haven't really spoken out against it. So this panel seems to be weighted in the favor of the continuing Common Core. So, unfortunately, I fear that we're not going to see many changes. Any changes we may see may be cosmetic. I know he was talking about the possibility of changing the name. Well, if that's your big solution, you're not getting it. You're not listening to the people. I will say this. I'll congratulate the governor on this. I will guarantee you that the opt-out movement will be stronger this year than it has in years past. And this panel is one of the reasons why, because it's apparent he's not listening.
And to bring folks up to speed and to remind them that 20% opted out this past year, or this year. Students opted out of Common Core testing.
And one of the reasons he claimed he wanted to put together the panel was to tackle that very issue. The concern is the opt-out movement, is it messing up all of the numbers, all of the test scores, all of the results, and making it impossible to actually judge any progress? Well, yes, and the reason is because parents, teachers, students alike feel like they're yelling into this black hole, and their cries of concern are going unheeded. No one's listening. So when he says, I'm going to form this panel, but then says things like, maybe we'll change the name. He also made a statement he wants to form the panel to reduce testing. And you think, okay, maybe he gets it. And he said, in particular, local testing. Well, no, the local testing is not the problem. It's the standardized high stakes testing. That's the problem. So if you're looking to eliminate the local testing or reduce that, the local testing is basically a tool used by teachers just to guide their progress. It's the standardized high stakes testing that is the problem. So statements like that don't exactly fill you with this confidence that he gets what we're saying. So I fear that right now very little progress is going to be made from this, just as his Mandate Relief Council, panel, commission, team made very little progress. So I fear that the parents and the students and teachers are going to take it in their hands again this year, and they're going to opt out in record numbers. And if that's what they have to do to be heard, I'm right there with them.
And beyond the issue of standardized testing, if you look at the curriculum itself, many argue that it's a cookie-cutter approach.
Oh, absolutely.
That it's a federal mandate that was handed down to states who accepted Race to the Top funding. I believe it was in 2009. And in those, in that fine detail, part of accepting that funding was Common Core, and then the whole revamp and the rollout of Common Core was botched. So from the start, this really hasn't been a good thing.
No, absolutely not. And the thing is, it's gone in steps and waves. You bring up the Race to the Top. Yes, the initial, when you thought of Race to the Top, you thought, okay, it's a great idea. Everyone wants to improve education. We'll get federal dollars for it. Okay, terrific. Common Core and what it consisted of was not spelled out clearly at that time. Similar to the APPR, which is the teacher evaluations. Do we want to hold bad teachers accountable? Of course we do. Do we want to make sure teachers are making progress and doing the right thing? Of course we do. So when it's rolled out that way and says we're going to come up with a review system that will make sure teachers are doing a great job, well, who wouldn't say no to that? Of course you want that. But then all of a sudden you sneak in these, it's going to be tied to high stakes testing and this, that, the other, and all of a sudden it's out of control and we've gone in a completely bad direction. And I think that's what the parents, the teachers, the students, the grandparents, that's what they're all saying is this train has run right off the tracks. I don't think you'll find anyone that doesn't want educational standards to be as high as they possibly can. I don't think you'll find anyone who doesn't want teachers, and bad teachers in particular, to be held accountable. Of course we do, although they're minimal in numbers. But it's how you go about doing this, and I think the cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all approach is not the way. And I want to bring up one other thing that's very, very interesting. I find it interesting that Long Island was the epicenter in the nation of the opt-out movement, and in particular, Suffolk County was huge, and yet on this panel, Suffolk County is not represented. To me, that makes absolutely no sense, and it continues to show the governor's irreverence towards Long Island and the downstate region.
So your prediction at this point is that this will only get worse as we head into 2016?
Yes. My prediction is this is going to come to a crescendo. This is going to come to a head because the parents and the teachers, seeing this panel, I've heard the backlash, I've heard the reverberations from them of, he still doesn't get it, meaning the governor. I fear that this is just going to make things worse. This is pouring gas on the fire.
Where do members on the other side of the aisle, on the Democratic side of the State Assembly, where do many of them stand on Common Core?
That's an excellent question. Many of them are still, I think, healing their heavy hearts from the budget vote in the Assembly because it seemed like every other one said, yes, it's with a heavy heart that I will vote in favor of this budget bill. We had a chance earlier in the legislative session to really put the brakes on this, and it was our colleagues on the other side of the aisle that chose not to. So I don't want to speak for them individually, but I think their collective voting record speaks for itself.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that moving forward.
Yes.
And of course, I know members in the minority will continue to fight on behalf of many of the New Yorkers in the state dealing with Common Core. If we could talk about a website that has been established as it relates to there's the potential that, as I understand it, some sex offenders, level 1 sex offenders, could fall off the state registry by the end of the year. Is that correct?
Right. We have a situation right now, and this is a rather scary situation. So I'm asking for your help, actually. If you can go to the website, it's www.fixthelawnow.com. And what it refers to is, there's actually a couple of issues, but the main one and the one with the most sense of urgency is the level 1 sex offenders. As of, if we do not come back for a special session and vote to extend the registration time period for level 1 sex offenders, there are many of those level 1 offenders who at the beginning of 2016 will fall off the registry and disappear and just go out into public as if nothing was wrong, nothing with no restrictions there, and we will lose track of them. And when you say level 1, you say, well, isn't that the 19-year-old boy who was dating the 16-year-old girl and the parents got mad and turned? It's not just that. See, as part of some plea agreements and arrangements, some level 3s and in most cases level 2s were pled to a level 1 status.
Right.
So you're talking about those convicted of first-degree rape, those convicted of sodomy, those convicted of pedophilia and child pornography. Those fall into, many of them fall into the level 1 category. So those are the types that are going to be falling off the registry, and we will not know where they are. And that's a scary, scary scenario.
So fixthelawnow.com.
If you can go to fixthelawnow.com, and again, read up on it a little bit more, but definitely sign the petition for us to send the message that we've got to come back to session before the end of the year to tackle this issue.
Crime Stoppers Week is October 1st through the 7th.
Yes,
and,
it is.
We have video of you discussing this upcoming event, if you will, and we'll come back and just discuss in further detail with you after we roll that with Assemblyman Dean Murray.
Resolution number 807, Mr. Murray. Legislative resolution memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim October 1st through the 7th, 2015 as Crime Stoppers Week in the state of New York.
Mr. Murray on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to take a moment to bring and speak about this resolution and why I decided to bring this forward. Not many people know that Crime Stoppers is a voluntary organization. It was actually established over 30 years ago as a public-private partnership between the NYPD and the New York City Police Foundation. So for over 30 years, they've been working with police and the community. Many of you probably have seen the rewards and asked, if you give tips and you get a reward. What you don't realize is, as I said, it's not a paid organization. These are all volunteers that give just hundreds and hundreds of hours of their time, a lot of their energy, working together to keep our communities safe. I personally, in the past 8.5 years, have had the honor and privilege of working directly with the police in Nassau and Suffolk, as well as the Crime Stoppers of Nassau and Suffolk. My company publishes the Long Island Fugitive Finder magazine and website, and yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. But I'm pleased to say that working with Crime Stoppers, we have been able to, over the past 8.5 years, put over 1,000 fugitives back behind bars, get them off the streets, and keep the community safe. This is some of the good work that is done each and every day, each and every year by Crime Stoppers. It was started here, it is spread, it is nationwide, and they do a tremendous, tremendous job. So I just wanted to bring this forward so we could bring them some recognition and some awareness about what they do for all of us in New York. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On the resolution, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted.
So volunteers across the country,
Right.
Crime Stoppers Week, honoring those folks. Up to 1,000 fugitives have been captured.
Well, that was through our publication that my company actually publishes called
really?
the Long Island Fugitive Finder.
Oh, okay.
We work with Crime Stoppers and the Suffolk County and Nassau County Police. They give us their most wanted criminals each month. We put it into the magazine, and the magazine's distributed free of charge all over Long Island. And it's also on the website at lifugitivefinder.com. But the Crime Stoppers do absolutely tremendous, tremendous work. And to think it all started right here in New York and is now nationwide. And it helps to keep the neighborhood safe. And that's where, neighborhood crime watches and things like this are an offshoot of Crime Stoppers. So they really do tremendous work.
I suppose anything that helps keep the streets safe
Yes.
and also assist police officers as well.
Right. They do a great job.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Murray. And again, mention that website, Fix the Law.
Right, it's fixthelawnow.com.
And you want to go to that if you...
To sign the petition regarding the sex offender registry.
Good enough. Always a pleasure to see you. If you'd like to reach out to Assemblyman Dean Murray, you can do so by contacting his district office at 1735 North Ocean Avenue. That's Suite A, Medford, New York. Zip code is 11763. Phone number there is 207-0073. You can email him at murrayd@assembly.state.ny.us. The Assemblyman is also available on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us at home. Until next time, I'm Visscher. This has been an edition of Assembly Calendar.